To make a pictograph, you'll have to use the table and drawings tools in Google Apps like Docs, Slides, or Drawings. But before you even do that, you'll have to make a table of your results because you can't rely on the other Google Apps to automatically convert your uncounted data into a pictograph. They just don't have that ability, whereas Google Sheets has the ability to convert your uncounted data into a bar graph or a line graph. So if you do want to do a pictograph, you are going to have to just take that one little extra step. And you can look here at what I've done. I have it highlighted on my page here. I've just made a separate table in the Google Slides that was generated from the responses to my Google form. Now, you can use a formula in Slides to count your data for you, but formula logic is messy and it can confuse grown-ups unless they're really familiar with using formulas in spreadsheets. So given the fact that you only probably have around 15, 20, or 25 responses, it's easier just to count it yourself. So you want to start by making your table. In my case, my question was, what kind of pet do you have? So one of my columns is called kind of pet, and then the other one is the number of responses. So that's my total number of people who picked each different kind of pet, each one of the choices that I gave them. And I gave them 6 choices: cat, dog, bird, none, other, or more than one kind of pet. So I've listed them all out here under kind of pet. And then all I have to do is just go back to my raw data here from my form results and count them. So remember I said the Google form results are kind of like a tally sheet. And so I'm just going to go through and count up however many times I see the word cat. And the way I do it is I click on the cell, and so I know I've counted it, and I say 1, 2, nothing, 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 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's how many there are. So I come up here and beside cat, I put a 7 to show that there are 7 cats in my responses. 6 people picked dog. So again, I went and counted up how many times I saw the word dog, and it was 6. Bird got 2 responses, none got 4, other got 2, and more than one kind of pet got 2. So now I have my table. The next step is to just copy it, and that way I can transfer it directly over into whatever app I'm going to make my pictograph in. So to copy it, you make sure you highlight all the data, not more. Make sure you're not missing anything, just like that. And then you can go edit, copy, or you can use the hotkey shortcut, which on a Mac is Command C and on a PC is Control C. So I've highlighted my table, and I'm ready to just pop it straight into my Google Slides. Now, I said before you can use Docs, Slides, or Drawings, but for the sake of easiness, let's go with Google Slides. We are familiar with Slides. We've used it a few times this year. And it's the easiest, and also you will be doing your final report in Google Slides, so this saves you a few steps by doing it in Google Slides. So I'm immediately going to paste my table. So I can do that by clicking on Edit, Paste, or using the hotkeys Command V or Control V. Now it's going to ask me if I want to link to the spreadsheet, and I don't need to do that. It's just going to make things slow down a little bit, and since I don't need it to be linked, I want to click Paste Unlinked and then click Paste, and here we go. All right, so now I have my data table in here. To make things a little easier for me, I am going to just paste it one more time. Make sure I get it unlinked and click paste, because the next step is to make a table that's almost exactly the same that I can put my symbols in. So instead of making a whole new table and then having to label kind of pet, number of responses, cat, dog, bird, none, other, I'm just going to paste it again, and now I'm going to delete the numbers because that's the only part I don't need, because this is now where my symbols are going to go in my pictograph. So I am now ready to start putting my symbols in, but I think I'm going to just stretch my table out a bit here. Probably I will distribute these rows to even them out a little bit. I have a few things that I like to do. I like to make all the text go in the middle. All right, so I think I'm pretty happy with how this looks so far, except I want to drag this over here because really there's no need to have it be so even, and this gives me a little bit more space to put my symbols in this part. Now, I did some thinking about what symbol to use. And at first I wanted to use a paw print because I was like, oh, pets, paw prints. But then I realized like, well, birds and fish, which might be someone's choice for other, or like a lot of people's pets don't actually have paws. So then I thought, well, what's one thing that all pets have in common? And that is love. So I thought a heart would be a nice symbol to represent the number of people that picked each kind of pet. All right, so I also want to take a look at my data here and decide what each symbol is going to represent. So I'm going to left align those numbers. So 762422. There's not really any common factors in there, but 7's close to 6. And if I were working with 6, then that would mean 2 could be a common factor, and I could say that each heart represents 2 responses, and then I would just use a half symbol to help me make that 7. So I think I'm going to do that. So next thing I have to do is get the image to use for the heart and then make my key. So there's a few ways to get an image to use for a pictograph. I could use insert image, search the web for heart and transparent background. So let's do that. Insert image, search the web, heart, transparent background. I like this one. Let's go with that. Insert. It's very big, but I can shrink it down and make it a size that I can use. So I actually really like that one. I like how it's kind of 3-dimensional. Well, it pasted 2 for me, so I guess now I have a choice. I'm going to get rid of this one. I like this one better. Okay, there's other options I could do. I could use the shape tool to draw a heart. And I can also use special characters. I can go insert, special characters, type the word heart, and I get a bunch of emojis and other symbols that are hearts that I could use. So, I mean, imagine I wanted to use this nice green heart emoji. I click on it and then I close this box and my heart is in there. The only thing about using a shape or a special character is they're not croppable. And I know that I want to crop one of my images in half and use a half heart. So I'm going to stick with this image from Google. All right, it's a good idea to make the legend now. So I'm going to put my heart down here, get my legend near the bottom of the page, insert a text box, type the word key, or if you prefer to use legend, you can do that. And I'm going to align that nicely there, nudge it a little closer. And then I want another text box. Whoops, it's easier to use this. And equals 2 responses, because that was what I decided I was going to go with. Of course, I can change my mind later and make adjustments, but for now, this is what I am working with. So my key, heart, equals 2 responses. Great. So now I'm going to get my heart again. I'm going to copy it. Okay, so again, I can do edit, copy, or use my hotkeys, and I always prefer to use the hotkey shortcuts. So now I'm going to paste my shapes up where I want them. So I've got one up there. I'm going to copy it again so it's up here. Now for my cat, I've got 7, and I had already said to myself that 3.5 hearts would equal 7. So I'm going to make 4, and I'm just going to use these lovely guidelines that Google Slides gives to get even spacing and alignment there. So I've got my 4. Right now that equals 8, right? Because each heart represents 2 responses, and I only have 7 cat responses. So here's where I'm going to do my cropping. So I can click on it and then click the crop image button, or I can just double click on it and it activates cropping. And now I want to grab my cursor and just hover over, and when I get that little arrow, I can click and drag until, no, until it shows half of my heart is kind of faded in the background and half is in this little window. And when I click out of this box, whatever's in the little window is what's going to be left. So now I have my half heart, and I've got 2, 4, 6 plus a half is 7. So I've got my 7 cats. My dog is 6. So I'm just going to highlight all 3 of these guys, copy and paste, and just drag right under and align it nicely. 2, 4, 6 for my dogs. My birds are only 2, so I can just copy 2 and paste and drag it down there, and so on until I have finished my whole pictograph. All right, then I can do lots of nice formatting. I can adjust the color of the lines. Let's say I want a nice blue, it's a little more vibrant. I want those lines to stand out a little bit more. Maybe I want them to be dotted. I like how that looks. I can change the font in here as well. I think Arial's nice. It's easy to read, but it's a little boring. So let's find something that's a little bit more to my taste. Oh, this little round one feels nice for pets. We bump it up a little bit, and maybe we bold the top row because it's the titles, so it stands out a little bit more. So you can see I'm well on my way to having a lovely pictograph. And that's the steps that you need to take to create a pictograph. Thanks for watching this long video.